Hello everybody and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Now today we're going to be doing yet another operating system related video, and this one is going to be, as you can probably tell from the title, on Remix OS. And this one is actually very similar to the Cub Linux video that I did, and if you have not seen that, I will have a card pop up at the upper right hand corner of the screen right now if you would like to see that. But essentially what that operating system was, it was a version of Linux that basically took all the great things about Chrome OS and combined it with the ability to run Linux offline applications, and it kind of merged those into one sort of hybrid operating system that you could run on pretty much any computer. And I had mentioned in that video that I think it's going to be very successful for those people that are looking for a Chrome OS alternative that has some extra offline features. And I was kind of browsing around online, and I also believe this was a video request like a while ago, but I came across Remix OS, and this is kind of similar to the sort of aspect behind Cub Linux, although it's kind of with Android rather than Chrome OS. What this is essentially trying to do is take Android and adapt it to the full-size desktop PC, and to basically make a version of Android that can work on a full-size desktop or a laptop computer. I did do a video probably about 2 years ago on the Android x86 project, which is kind of has a similar goal. Although what it essentially does is take, or at least the version that I demonstrated in that video, is it basically takes a standard Android image and essentially ports that to the x86 architecture that basically allows you to run it on like a normal desktop or a laptop. And in that video I demonstrated me using, I think that the version at that time was like Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean. So I just basically showed me using that on my Toshiba laptop, and it was basically the same interface that you would find on like an Android phone or tablet. It wasn't really optimized for desktop display. There was like some mouse support, I do believe, but it wasn't like a actual desktop like interface. Well, what Remix OS is trying to do, and they have actually partnered, let me find it here because I did have the page pulled up. They have actually partnered with the Android x86 project to basically make this happen, and I do believe that they have actually based parts of this project on the Android x86 project, because essentially the Android x86 project has all the code that they already need to run the OS on x86 architecture, and they just kind of build off of that into making a much nicer and cleaner desktop interface. If you go on to the Android x86 project page here, I do believe that they mention right here, Remix OS for PC, which was an alpha at this time, which was back in January of this year. So this is still a fairly new project, but it says that it was built on Android x86 and it is available for download. And yeah, this is version 3.0.203, which was released on September 1st. So about 20 days ago, a fairly, well, as of me making this video, it might be like a few days until that I actually get it out onto YouTube, but it's been about 20 days since they have released this specific version. And yeah, you can kind of see how it looks here. What it essentially tries to do is take Android and all the great things about using a mobile operating system, and it kind of tries to blow that up onto a standard desktop computer. And it doesn't just do that by taking the same interface and making it larger. It kind of gives you like this nice little taskbar down here with icons and windows that you can move around. Now, there are actually a few different editions of Remix OS, which I'm going to be getting into in this video, or this introduction segment very briefly here. The plain Remix OS, there's Remix OS for PC and Remix OS Player. Now, Remix OS, I'm pretty sure this page, because when you click on this download button here, it just kind of takes you to the Remix OS for PC page. So I don't think they have like a version of Remix OS for like phones and tablets, yet. But that may be coming in the future. And what Remix OS Player is for basically for the person who wants to run Android games, and it does kind of say that it's a game emulator, but it will work with other Android applications, although it's kind of having a focus on games here. But this is essentially the easiest way to run Remix OS on your host computer, because you don't have to go and download the ISO file for Remix OS for PC, and you don't have to install that in Oracle VirtualBox or VMware Workstation and go through the whole process and set all of it up, which takes time. And some people might just not want to deal with that. Some people just want to download something, get it up and running, and just play games. And that might be what you want to do, and this would be a perfect option for you, because there's no setup involved. All you got to do is download this file, run it. I'm sure it's going to install something onto your computer, but it seems like a very straightforward method, and it seems like it's something that's definitely going to be easier than going through the VMware Workstation, basically virtual machine route. And it does say that it has a focus on Android games, and that's kind of what I assume that most people are going to be using this for. But if you want to test out a new Android app and you don't have an Android phone on you, or this would be a very easy way of going about doing that. Okay, so we are finally back and ready to take a look at Remix OS, and I am going to be using VMware Workstation 11 to actually install this, because I could not get Remix OS Player to work properly. It kept giving me a CPU related error message, and just to kind of make everything go smoother, we're going to be using VMware Workstation, because I have actually gotten it to work in this. And I'm also going to be showing you the installation process, because there are some things that you kind of have to do to get this thing to work properly. It's not just like a simple click next a bunch of times type of installer. There's a lot of things that you actually have to do, modifying stuff to get everything to work properly. So I'm going to be going through all of this in detail, and afterwards we're going to be taking a brief look at the operating system. So let's just get started here. We're going to create a new virtual machine. You will want to actually use this option right here if you're using VMware Workstation 11, where you actually just put the ISO file into the actual wizard, and it will actually tell you what operating system that it detects. In this case, it's FreeBSD. So we're just going to click on next. We're going to call this Remix OS, and we're going to store it as a single file. I'm going to give it a 20 gig hard drive. I've been through this a million times before, so if I'm going kind of fast, that's why, because this part of the VM setup I usually skip, but I figured that I'd go through it just to show you that first part about FreeBSD. And I'm going to give it 2 gigs of RAM, so 2048 megabytes, and we're going to give it 2 cores. And we're just going to use that file, Remix OS. This is the 64-bit version. We're going to click on close, and there's this nice power on this virtual machine after creation, so we're going to click on finish. It's going to automatically power on, and as soon as it powers on, you want to press the tab key immediately so that it does not boot, because essentially what it will do if you just kind of press enter or just let it time out and boot into the normal first option there, it will actually give you a few error messages, and it will just hang on the boot screen. It does not actually get past the Remix OS boot screen. So what we actually have to do is install the image on this CD to the hard drive, which is something that I think that it does not do by default, and this is something that we have to do sort of manually. So what you have to do here is, once you've pressed tab, you'll see that there's this kind of blob of text right here. what you have to do is press backspace up to the word serial, which is right here. So you just want to, get rid of all of this, and you want to type in the word install in all caps, and then put an equal sign, and then put a 1 right after that. And this is going to tell the installer to boot into the text-based installer. That if you've ever installed Linux before in the alternative mode, as a lot of Linux distros have that, you'll be very familiar with this installer. So we're just going to press enter, and it's going to boot up the kernel here, and it's going to come right up with the installer. And you will notice that it does kind of identify itself as Android x86, and that is once again because that this is based off of Android x86. So what we're gonna have to do is click on, or rather press enter on create/modify partitions, and we do not want to use GPT, so just press no. And once we get to this fdisk looking screen right here, we're actually going to have to create two different partitions. One's going to be a bootable partition, and the other one's going to be the logical partition. So in this case, I'm just going to kind of split the 20 gig partition in half. So we're going to have 10 gigs on the bootable partition, and then 10 gigs on the logical, because it is a 20 gig hard drive. Now, I don't think you would normally do this, but just for the sake of this video and for time's sake, that's what I'm going to be doing. So on the free space right here, you're just going to want to press on this new button. And if you're not really this kind of area towards the bottom is this interface that you basically use. So you want to press on the press enter on the new button, and this is going to be the primary partition, and we're going to give it 10,000 10,000 megabytes. That's going to be 10 gigs, and this is going to start at the beginning of the free space. And you're also going to want to flag this as bootable. So on this little bootable option right here, just press enter, and you'll see that it adds the boot flag up here. And so next, what you want to do is go over to the right area all the way over here. And what this essentially does is writes the partition table to the disk. So you want to press write, type in the word yes, and press enter. And it's going to write that to the virtual disk. Once it finishes up with that, which should not take long, you want to go down. So press the down arrow key to the free space option. You want to create a new partition on the free space. This is going to be your logical partition, and just use the rest of the space. It's not going to be exactly 10 gigs. It's going to be a little bit more than that. So just press enter. This is going to be your logical partition. So we're going to go over to the type right here, because you actually have to change the file system type to the correct file system, which in this case is Linux swap Solaris, which is 82. So you want to press enter, and once you get to the little option here, just enter in number 82 on your keyboard and press enter, and you'll see that it has applied that option right there. So now all you have to do is go over to write once again, press enter, type in the word yes once again, and it's going to write the partition table to the disk once again. And I've said once again like 5 times. And yeah, once it's all done with that, I believe that is it for this tool right here. So all we have to do is press on quit. So we're going to do that, and you'll see that we now have 3 new partitions: SDA1, SDA2, and SDA5. So we're going to want to go to SDA1 and press enter, and we're going to want to format it as ext4, not NTFS or FAT32. These are both Windows type file systems. We're going to want ext4, and it's going to basically warn you that you are going to lose everything on this partition. So just make sure that you're using like the right partition, and that you don't have any data on this partition if you're doing this on a real machine. So just we're just going to press enter. It's going to format SDA1. We are going to want to install Grub, which is essentially the bootloader, which is a really important part. When I didn't do it, because I don't think that I got it to install properly last time, it didn't boot at all from the hard drive. It wouldn't recognize anything. So you want to make sure this is installed. And EFI Grub 2 we don't need, so just press skip. And this right here is kind of optional. It just depends on what you want to do personally. What this essentially is for is setting the system directory as a read and write directory so that you can easily modify files in it. And as it says here, this is easier for like if you want to debug the system, like if something isn't working properly. And it does say it needs more disk space and longer installation time. So this may take a little bit more time if you're using like an actual, physical machine. So I'm not gonna really worry about that, in this case, because we have like everything running virtualized. So I'm just gonna press yes, because why not? And it's going to write all of the files over to the partition. It's going to be installing. And this should not take long because, again, everything is virtualized. So I will come back once it is all finished up. And it has finished up here. As you can see, we have two options: run Android x86 or reboot. We're going to want to go to the reboot option to make sure everything worked with the bootloader. And it looks like it has here. So you see we have grub installed. And all we have to do is just we'll either press enter on the first option or just let it time out, which it did in this case. And it is going to begin installing, or well, not installing, but booting up Remix OS. So first boot can take a little bit of time, a fair amount of time here. So as we can see, we have the very nice boot screen, which will have a nice little animation. And sometimes it does this like weird little flashing thing. It kind of did that for me the first time. What I had to do was just kind of restart and go into it again. There does seem to be a fair bit of video problems going on, and I have a feeling that has something to do with the way it's being virtualized, or it might be VMware. I'm not 100% sure, but see, like, let's just see this time if it works properly. See, we got Remix OS solid, and yeah, see, there we go. See, now it's fine. This is how that is normally supposed to look, and just kind of does this nice fade in and out, sort of glowing animation. On the last install that I did, when I got to the desktop, there were instances where the screen kind of started to do this light flicker. So hopefully that's not going to be happening. I should also mention that this is based off of Android version, or Android Marshmallow, which I believe is 5.0. Android 5.0 Marshmallow. So it's not based off of Nougat, which is the newest release. I believe they are working on a new release that will work with Nougat, or that will be based off of Nougat, that has all the new features that version has. But yeah, we're just gonna be letting it finish up here. Hopefully everything goes well, and if everything does go well, then I'll see you guys when we get to the desktop. Okay, so here we are. The first boot did take a fair bit of time, but we are at the select your language screen, so we're just going to go with English, and we're going to agree to the user agreement. And you can see kind of the screen flickering that I'm talking about. It'll just do that sometimes, even when we get through this setup. We're going to skip the Wi-Fi setup because we don't need that. We are hopefully connected through Ethernet. And we're going to, now essentially what this is here is kind of an app installer. It'll actually let you choose from some of the most popular Android apps currently, and you can choose things. It like has all these different categories. So these are let's say popular apps, and for some reason it has what looks like Audible and AliExpress shopping. So let's say that you want to get maybe Twitter, I don't know, eBay, Airbnb, Walgreens, whatever applications that are, popular at the time. And then you have a summary, like it'll tell you what apps it's going to install. You click on install, and then it'll just do that for you. So kind of, very nice, because it'll just kind of do everything automatically for you. Like you can just pick from a list of popular apps. And It also gives you this option to activate Google Play. Now, by default, it's not activated by default. You have to check this little box right here that says you want to activate Google Play services, and they're just basically letting you know that they're not responsible, I guess, and that, you know, your like overall experience might be different when you use Google Play services. So we're going to be doing that to get access to the Play Store, because I do want to actually download some applications from there. So it almost, you know, at first glance kind of looks like a hybrid between Windows 10 and Android, because, you know, this interface down here with the whole start menu kind of you know, reminds me of the Windows 10 start menu, how it's got the like, you know, clock gadgets over here. It has the same like sort of pop-out notification center. It's got, I mean, this isn't really like a start menu, but it's got like all your apps in here. But yeah, I mean, that's essentially what it is, and you can see that our applications that we chose to install during setup are slowly installing. So we have apps, say, like Twitter. So this is the same, you know, mobile Android Twitter client that you would use on like an Android tablet or a phone, and here it is running on, you know, like a PC. I mean, why you would do this? I mean, when you have like Windows Twitter applications and, you know, like the Twitter web client, I don't really see the point for things like this, but I can definitely see the point for mobile only applications that you would want to use on your desktop. I should also say that pressing enter by default does not like send anything. I did see there was an option in settings to change that, but I mean, yeah, it's still doing that annoying flickering. That is going to get really annoying. I'm probably gonna have to put like a you know, epilepsy warning on the video. But yeah, I mean, I could, you know, send like a tweet from here, so I can just say something like, you know, working on a new video right now, hopefully should have it out in the next few days, and we can send that off. So tweet, and you can see, let me just pull this over here, that right there, if I can get this on the screen, right there on this is, you know, TweetDeck, by the way, where it will show what client it's been sent from, but it says Twitter for Android. So this is the Android Twitter client. So yeah, it's the same tweet. I'm working on a new video right now. Hopefully you should have it out in the next few days. And yeah, so this is the standard, you know, I was gonna say Windows, but the standard Android Twitter client, which is a little bit different from the iOS one, because I use that on my iPhone, obviously. So yeah, I mean, here it is. Here is the, you know, Twitter client. It works perfectly fine. Again, why you would use this on Remix OS, I don't really see the point in using things like this, but things like, you know, Android games and, you know, Kick Messenger, I believe is only on mobile devices. So if you wanted to, you know, say send, you know, messages from your desktop, I don't believe at this time that they have something like on the web that you can send stuff out, but like they don't have like a web-based client. But, you know, this right here, you know, instead of having to use your phone, if you don't have access to your phone, you could log into your Kick account on here, and if you use Kick as your primary messenger, then you can use it to send all of your conversation right from your desktop or laptop computer, which is really nice. It also has this play activator, and this is kind of the thing that I was mentioning during setup, where it does not have, you know, Google Play installed by default. You have to actually go in and manually install it. However, there is the Remix Central, which is essentially the same thing, I think, during the setup, where you can kind of go through and choose a bunch of applications that are basically recommended by the Remix OS team. So if you want to get, and they even have popcorn time in here, wow. So that's kind of, so yeah, these are things that, as I don't think popcorn time is in Google Play, so they do have some stuff in here. But say that you want to play games like maybe Jetpack Joyride, Clash of Clans. I was gonna say Candy Crush, but I think Candy Crush is something online. SimCity Build It. Although if you're gonna play SimCity, play something other than SimCity Build It. Minions Paradise. That sounds like a great game. MS Office, Word, Excel. You can get even Office programs. Now, I'm sure these are going to be like the Android versions of it, but I mean, if you want to get some productivity done basically, and you have this OS as your daily use OS, you have the options here to use some Microsoft programs, because Microsoft has, I think like a few years ago, they brought Office over to Android and iOS. So you can see here that the game runs in this sort of like full screen interface. It's still doing the annoying flicker, and you can click on this little side menu and you kind of get these options to kind of save your game, and you can even exit. So they have obviously like optimized this like for gaming, but I mean, yeah, it just kind of goes through the game. I mean, I'm sure I haven't really played this game because I'm not a huge mobile gamer, but I'm sure a lot of people have and know a lot about it. I mean, it's a very popular game. It's one of the most popular mobile games out there. So yeah, I mean, you can just go through it, play it just as you would on your phone. But yeah, I mean, that is essentially it for Remix OS. This segment of the video has gone on for like an hour. I'm gonna have to do a lot of editing to this because there were a lot of problems. So hopefully I'm gonna still be able to get this video out to you guys, because I have been wanting to make a video on this for a while. But thank you guys so much for watching and being a subscriber to the channel. We actually just recently hit 6,000 subscribers on the channel, which is amazing. So just thank you to you guys for helping me continue to grow on the channel and make good good quality videos for you guys. If you guys enjoyed this video and this format of the video, this sort of 3-segment video where we did the overview, the installation, and then the first look and my personal thoughts on this OS, definitely sure to let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of this, and if you would like to see me do more videos like this in the future. And yeah, guys, I mean, just again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all of your amazing support, and I will see you guys as always in the next video.